Hold up. Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step. I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Double M Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
Puma El Gato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
We are taking a look at the whole entire UFC White House card. Let's talk about it.
So it is still Saturday, y'all. UFC 326 literally just ended. In fact, I'm looking at the post-fight show right now on the TV in the background. So we're doing this freshly off of the White House card being announced. Got announced earlier today on UFC 326. And oh man, Dana Big Mouth White, again, over promises, under delivers. There's 2 fights on there that are decent and of potential consequence. Everything else is nothing. What happened to all the titles are going to be on the line? 6 or 7 title fights. What happened to all that? What happened, Big Mouth? 2 fights of consequence. Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje. And listen, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. If we're being honest, most of this fight is a foregone conclusion. Most of these fights on this card are a foregone conclusion. And what do I mean by that? Listen, Ilia Topuria is going to sleep Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, yes, he looked good up against Paddy Pimblett. I get it. You know, he's looked good in his last 2 fights. Understandable. I get it. But Justin Gaethje got slept by the guy that got slept by Ilia Topuria. To think that they're on the same level, they're not. And let's just call it what it is. The only reason that Justin Gaethje is at the top of this card, apart from winning against Paddy Pimblett, because he's a Donald Trump stan. So, in my personal opinion, this fight is a little bit of a foregone conclusion. I think Justin Gaethje is tailor-made for an Ilia Topuria. He's going to go in there, he's going to bang with you, and the guy that has more power, Ilia Topuria, is going to more than likely win. So, I personally think it's a foregone conclusion. Next fight, Alex versus Ciryl Gane. Listen, if Ciryl Gane has any sense whatsoever, he'll wrestle Alex into oblivion. So Alex has just over 3 months to really tighten up his takedown defense, tighten up his wrestling as much as possible, get as much experience as you can fighting off wrestling takedowns. And if he does a decent job at that, he stands a chance. If not, Ciryl Gane is going to run away with it, because if Ciryl Gane has any sense, he'll wrestle him into oblivion. First of all, Alex has enjoyed a luxury of being bigger than all of his opponents thus far. Alex generally walks around at 240. That's his walk around weight, which is, that's basically tailor-made for heavyweight. But all of his opponents generally are not within that weight. They're somewhere between 175 and 205, somewhere in that range. So he's enjoyed the luxury of being bigger than all of his opponents. He's not going to have that luxury here. He's going to be fighting natural heavyweights. Hopefully, the fact that he's been dehydrating himself to be able to get to those lower weight classes means that he'll carry his power even better in the heavyweight division. But if you're Ciryl Gane, why even give that a chance? Why even give someone a chance when you're the naturally bigger guy, when you're naturally walking around at this weight, when you're comfortable at this weight? Why not just wrestle him into oblivion? I don't think this one is a foregone conclusion, but if Ciryl Gane fights the right way, even though Ciryl Gane is not the right way type of fighter, Ciryl Gane should ideally win. Now, don't get that twisted, y'all. I would like Alex Pereira to win. Let me just be very, very honest about that. So it's not like I'm saying it's a foregone conclusion and the guy that I want to win is going to win. No. I want Alex Pereira to win. I want him to make history, 3-division champion. But being realistic, Ciryl Gane should just wrestle him into oblivion, erase that off the map. Then we have Sugar Sean versus Zahibi. I can't remember the gentleman's name. Ranked number 7. My apologies for getting that wrong if I got it wrong. Listen, all due respect to Zahibi. He's ranked number 7 for a reason. Sugar Sean is currently in number 3, only beaten by Umar, which I'm not sure how that happened, and by Merab at number 1. My personal opinion, this is just me. This is a layup win for Sugar Sean, all due respect to Zahibi. Realistically, it's being set up so that an American can just win a good one while at the White House card. Layup for him. Then we have Rufy and Michael Chandler. This one's a toss-up only because, let's just call it what it is, Michael Chandler's kind of a fuck-up. I know Iron Mike, very exciting fighter, blah, blah, blah. I get it, understandable. Who has he beaten in the UFC? Who has he beaten in the UFC? Go look at his record. not a great record within the UFC, guys. In fact, he's on a losing streak right now. So, And then we have the final fight. I'm sorry, not final fight. My apologies. Then we have Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dukakis. Who? All due respect. Who? So another layup for Bo Nickel, ideally, even though Bo Nickel himself is also a fuck up. Another potential win for the American, and hopefully an easy layup. And then we have the final fight, Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. Diego Lopez, really being Brazilian, but representing Mexico, blah, blah, blah. Again, Steve Garcia, American dude. But this one should theoretically be a good win for Diego Lopez. Listen, guys, I can't remember the commentator. He'll correct me here in a second because he was talking about it earlier. MMA commentator that basically said, listen, man, there were certain parameters that got set out for the White House card. One of them was basically try and set it up so as many Americans can win. That really limits your options here, guys. And I'm not trying to disrespect the American fighters. I love a lot of these American fighters. But the facts of the circumstances are a lot of the champions aren't American because the top American guys just couldn't get it done. All due respect. So again, I'm not mad at the card. I'm mad at Dana White speaking way too loudly, always promising this is another UFC 300 scenario where he says it's going to be the best card ever, the biggest card ever, blah, 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 and then it turns out not to be it. Most of these fights, again, all due respect, are foregone conclusions in my mind. Some of these guys can surprise us, be the underdog, and do come from behind win. I would love that. I would love to see somebody that doesn't have a name really make a name for themselves by beating the bigger names. I would love that. I'm all about that. But the reality of the circumstances is most of these are foregone conclusions for a reason. The only two fights of consequences to see what's going to happen. Really one fight of consequence with Alex Pereira and Cyril Gane, because the reality of circumstances is Justin Gaethje is going to get slept by Ilya Topuria. Whether you guys like it or not, whether Dana White likes it or not, whoever doesn't like it or not, that's the facts of the circumstances. And I'll eat my own fucking shoe if Ilya Topuria loses to Justin Gaethje. What do you think about that, my man?
So for the context of the parameters itself, it was actually Ariel Helwani, of all people, that actually did report on the fact that the UFC White House card did have a bunch of parameters, at least as far as the booking itself goes, saying they were trying to get as many title fights as they could on the card itself, which, okay, that's not a tall order. But the fact that they wanted to have as much American fighters to have the most decent shots they could. Having those two, let's be honest, they're going to kind of go against each other. And for context, the only American fighters that are champions in the UFC are Mackenzie Dern at strawweight, I believe, and Kayla Harrison at bantamweight, and she's already out with a neck injury. And let's be honest, Kayla Harrison being out with a neck injury, understandable. That's understandable why you wouldn't be on the White House card for that. Mackenzie Dern doesn't have a lot of star power, so let's be honest, that wasn't going to make the White House card anyway. And plus, I think she mostly identifies as Brazilian anyway, but there you go. Anyways, I'm not gonna go too on, but I'm going to kind of speed run through this. Ilya Topuria versus Justin Gaethje, we kind of already know that's already a foregone conclusion. That's basically Ilya Topuria's crowning moment at the White House right there. Alex Pereira and Cyril Gane. I don't hate it, but I don't like it for a couple reasons. For one thing, let me tell you what I do like about the fight. I do like the fact that for as much Jon Jones has been saying, "Oh, the negotiations going with coming at the White House. I'm coming out of retirement, guys. Don't worry." The one promise that I am absolutely glad. I'm actually even want to give my flowers to Dana White for following through on the promise, is that he can't rely on Jon Jones anymore. And the fact that this has already been unveiled and Jon Jones is nowhere near on that card. You know what? I got to give you flowers, Dana White. You finally came through with that, and it's actually a promise I'm very happy with. Bravo to you, good sir. I will at least applaud you for that. That being said, this is Cyril Gane's fourth shot at the title. Lost it against Francis Ngannou. Lost it against Jon Jones. Lost it against Tom Aspinall. And again, it's a taller order this time, but if he loses it to Alex Pereira, I never in my lifetime do I ever want to see Cyril Gane at the bat one more time. Not even for interim at all. In title contention ever again. If he loses this, dog, gold was never for you. It never will be at this point. If you lost against somebody that's coming up 2 whole weight classes, you never deserve gold in the first place. You never even deserve number 1. I don't even care how sparse the heavyweight division at this point. Yes, Sergey Spivak and all that. I understand. Heavyweight is dog water at this point. And that being said, dog, this is the best you can do. This is your 4th crack. If you don't touch gold now, you're not going to touch gold ever at all. That being said, let's move further down the card. We're talking about Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Ayman Zahibi, I believe his name is. Again, this is really more so a foregone conclusion for Sugar Sean O'Malley. It's one of those ones where it's going to be one of the more obvious wins for the American fighters going out to the White House card. Again, Sugar Sean is ranked 3 and Zahabi is ranked number 6. I do think the skill gap between both of these fighters, I do think Sugar Sean is at the very least still on the up and up. He's definitely still one of the tougher contenders at the bantamweight division. So I do think, that's going to be a foregone conclusion for the American fighters. Mauricio Hoofy versus Chandler. I think it's going to more so be a victory for Hoofy, but not necessarily for Hoofy being a skillful fighter. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to knock Hoofy at all whatsoever. But I do think it's more so Michael Chandler's going to be on the losing side of that. So I do think him being on the very obvious B side, it's going to be kind of more of a... It's going to be a tough fight for Hoofy, but nowhere near an unwinnable one at that point. Then we have Bo Nickel versus Kyle DeCow, which, again, that's a who's who of who cares at that point. Again, this is going to be more so a fight to prove if Bo Nichols really is going to be that fraud chick at that point, which, don't get me wrong, we'll hate watch it just for that. But again, we're not going to really honestly pay attention to that fight all that much. And Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. All right, let's be 100% honest here. Even though Diego Lopez didn't exactly look great up against Volk for the second time, which I still think that fight was very much unnecessary. The fact of the matter is, Diego Lopez is still pretty good. He's just being gatekept out of title contention, which, don't get me wrong, just because you lost a title doesn't automatically mean that you're an absolute loser. At the very least, even though you're going to be at the back of the line for a title, that doesn't mean you're not going to be a very heavy contender. So I do think Diego Lopez, at the very least, does stand a heavy chance against somebody like Steve Garcia. So just because he's being shut out of the title twice now, that doesn't make him any less of a contender. So I do think he's going to have a heavy chance to win in this fight. But again, that's all my feelings on this fight. What did you think about my opinions on the fight card? And more specifically, obviously, you're going to have some words about the Cyril Gane matchup. What did you think about my thoughts on all that?
No, I mean, I completely agree with you. Again, the only fight that, again, is really kind of up in the air as to who's going to win, in my opinion, is Cyril Gane versus Alex Pereira. We've already talked about both of our feelings over the reasons why that one's going to be up in the air. Really, I want to touch more on, this is just more proof. The sport, MMA, UFC in particular, is in decline. Dana White constantly makes these gigantic, huge, phenomenal promises. The biggest ever, $60 million it's costing to put this event on. All of these other things, and this is a mid-card at best. If you wanna be generous, decent at best. We have a decent fight between Cyril Gane and Alex Pereira. Okay, understandable. Could potentially make history by crowning a 3-divisional champion if Alex Pereira manages to pull it off, or it can be the first time that Cyril Gane really defeats someone of note, I guess. And Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje, which again I personally feel is a foregone conclusion. If I'm being honest, man, if I'm just being straight up direct, most of these fights are a foregone conclusion. Realistically, Ilya should win. Realistically, Cyril Gane should win. He has all the benefits. He should win. Sugar Sean should win. Bo Nickel should beat his opponent. Michael Chandler should beat his opponent. And Diego Lopez should beat his opponent. All the big names should theoretically beat their opponent. So this should be a foregone conclusion. I'm hoping for some surprises, but the reality of the circumstances is that this is not the card. This is not the big names. This is not the phenomenal next level 6 championship belts, 7 championship belts. All the shit that Donald Trump was saying, all the shit that Dana White was saying, all of that, it's not that. They might make some little fake title because it's on the White House card and, we have to do something special. They might make, but it's stupid. It's going to be strictly for show, not worth anything, worth less than the Zuffa boxing belt. So let's just be honest about that. Always Dana, Big Mouth White, coming out here and under-delivering on big promises. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.